I wanted to cover something I saw in Kitchen Confidential a few days back. I took a screenshot of it, so I'm just going to read it really quick. Have you ever had an experience where you felt like the job failed your interview? For me, in one interview, he said I was supposed to work 10-hour shifts and alternating 5 days to 6 days work weeks. This would have been fine dining and looked good on my resume, but I had just left a fine dining establishment that was slightly less old school, and I hated it there. I wasn't going to go back to the same environment with even more hours. Another was at a barbecue place. Several red flags of this place. They said they could start me off at 55 to 60, only because I was already making 65 at the time. He seemed reluctant, but then he said that I would be eligible for a 5K raise at 3-month mark if I was performing well. Who's to say they wouldn't just say I was shit so they wouldn't have to give me the raise? So no thanks. Another red flag was that my stage seemed more like day one of training and did not make sense to me for FOH at such a casual place. The fine dining place was going to have me stage before I canceled it, but that actually made sense to me. Not only did my stage feel like day one of training, but there was another woman there who was maybe like 23. She had only ever worked in her family's restaurant. She told me she was on her first or second day of training. The GM told me that she was still staging. If they'll dick her and me around there, they definitely dick over my future quote-unquote pay raise. I felt bad for her too. She was obviously being taken advantage of because she was young and inexperienced. I only wished they'd call me back after my stage so I could reject them. Have you had an experience where you feel the employer failed the interview? Yes, I absolutely have. So I'm going to go over yours, and I'm going to talk about mine. So the first thing, work 10-hour shifts, alternating 5 to 6 hours a week, be fine dining. Looks good. So, I mean, like, for starters, the 5 or 6 day work weeks, that's whatever. I mean, that's, 50, 55, 60 hours. That's what I'm basically doing right now, about 55 to 60 hours. Honestly, when it comes down to it, only you can decide what you're willing to put up with. So you have this situation where you're trying to leave this one environment and you're essentially just going into the same environment over again. So yeah, that's not so much a red flag as it is just a personal preference, but I would say, if you're already having reservations about this part of it, then that's already, a potential, like, just don't even follow through with that. Now, the next thing, 55, 60, I'm assuming that's a year, 55, 60K a year, only because I was already making 65K at the time. He seemed reluctant and then said I would be eligible for a 5K raise at 3-month mark. So I call this the bait and switch. This is how they do it. You say that I want to be making more than what I'm making at my current job because it's a higher up position, it's more advanced or whatever. Maybe you're going from a lead to a sous, or you're going to another job, but there's more responsibility or whatever, or pay is part of the problem, and they're still paying you $9.50 an hour or whatever when nobody can live off of that. So what you do is you go into this new job and you're like, look, I was making 10 at this other job. I want to make, like 18 here. That's probably like the lowest I'll go. First off, that's a mistake. I'll explain why in a second. This is the key. This is how they do it. This is like a social proof and putting pressure on you kind of manipulation tactic. They say, we start everybody at $11 an hour. Then after we see how good you are or you stick around or whatever, then we will bump your pay up. Is that something you can do? Now, a lot of people, when they heard me say that just now, like a light went off or something, like realizing for the first time, like, oh shit, I was taken advantage of, That is a huge red flag. Automatically, you do not want to take this job. You do not want to take a job where they promise you a raise in the future or promising the pay that you asked for, but starting you out at a lower pace. What they will do is they will kick the can down the road as far as they can until you get sick of it and quit, or you end up in a higher up position and then they basically will just give you the pay that you asked for, still underpaying you. The thing about this is when you are applying to another place, it is none of that job's business what you're currently making. If you want to tell them what you're making, that's fine. But when they ask you what your salary expectations are, you don't have to say, well, I was making X at my last job, so I want to make this at my new job. You don't have to justify it. What you should do is figure out the income that you want and then probably ask for even more than that. And then they can turn you down and, make you a counter offer or whatever. I will tell you right now, if you say, I'm making $20 a year, so I want to make at least that there, they may start people at 23. But because you said 20, they aren't going to be honest with you. They will start you at $20 an hour or 15 or whatever. So do not do that. Make them give you the first number. That's the first thing. But anyways, this isn't about that. So yeah, that is a huge red flag, the bait and switch thing. Another red flag is that my stage field more like a day one of training. So this means they weren't prepared for the stage. They do not have a system in place for stage. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to this. That's it. They don't know. They don't know what they're doing. So they have you come in and they basically you have the job. And so they're just basically having you work like for either low pay, no pay, or whatever. There's a certain way that a stage should go where they kind of are doing an assessment or whatever of your skills, and then you get an offer. But if they have you come in and basically just start working as if you already have the job and you're already working there. I mean, if you want the job, if you want to work there, whatever, just take it, like whatever. But if you are kind of dipping your toe in the water, asking yourself, like, is this what I want to do? And they're basically like, we're married, like that's what it really is. It's basically like, talking to somebody through a dating app, and the first time you meet, she starts acting like you're married. Right? That's the work equivalent of what's happening here. And the fact is, according to this, the fact is that they're already doing it to somebody else too. So this is something that they've done more than once. And then he goes back to the future pay raise thing. Yeah, just always assume that they're going to screw you over. Now, will they screw you over? Maybe not, but assume that they will. And it may not even be a malicious, like they're not like rubbing their hands together like, oh, I can't wait to screw this guy over. They may just be mismanaged and they just don't do it, or they realize they don't have it in the budget after the fact. Still irresponsible, still bad, but sometimes it's not malicious, it's just like a lack of good management. Now, at the end, he said, have you ever had an experience where you feel like the employer failed the interview? I went to apply for, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it rhymes with Sharemark. So I went to check this place out. It was going to be a lead catering position. I was leaving my current cook position to be a lead catering chef. Most of the reason why was I needed to trim my commute down a little bit, and I wanted something possibly working for a university or a school because the kids go to school, and I thought it would be really awesome to have the same schedule as the kids. So, during winter break or whatever, if the wife needed to do something, like she needed to travel or something, then I could be home with the kids a lot easier than if that wasn't the case. So I was like, I want to get a job at a university, and this is also a higher up position than I'm currently at. So let's go ahead and check this out. Let's do this. I went through all the stuff, and then they wanted me to come in and basically do a stage. They wanted to, see what my skills are. That's fine. That's normal. So I'm thinking about the things that I would make to show them, like, this is what I'm capable of. This is the technique that I know. I'm decent at plating. I can do this and that, and being, honest about what my skill level is, that I'm not Gordon Ramsay, and I've already admitted this on other videos. I'm not like the world's best chef. I can throw down. And so I was going in thinking about, like, if it's going to be a mystery basket, these are the kinds of things that I might be able to do with it, focus on garnish, blah, 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 flavor profile, this and that. So I get there, and the lady acts like she didn't know I was coming, first off. What she has me do is she wants me to do prep for dinner service, for the university dinner service, which has nothing to do with being a lead catering chef. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe they just want to see how my time management is or whatever. But they had me doing Asiago chicken, pasta, and broccoli. Some places will cook pasta in advance, and then they will cool it, and then they'll just throw it in some hot water really quick to reheat it. I don't know what their processes are, right? So that was the first problem. The second problem is she wanted me to make 400 portions of Asiago chicken on a stage. I didn't prepare for a full work day going in. How it was explained to me is I was going to come in, they were going to interview, do an in-person interview. I was going to talk to the GM, and then I was going to basically make them something. And that was supposed to be the whole thing. Maybe an hour, hour and a half. We're talking 4.5, 5 hours of work. of hand breading Asiago chicken for this thing. They show me their tablets and their recipes and all this stuff, and they say, so you're going to prep this. This is what she said to me. She said, you're going to prep this, and then you are going to make some of this. You're going to make like 3 or 4 portions of this for us all to try. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting to showcase anything. I'm just basically showing you guys that I can cook for the students, which is fine, but like so far I haven't heard anything to do with catering whatsoever. I'm like racking my brain trying to figure out like what purpose, because I've done interviews before. Like I've given people things to do to see and I'm like, there was just something not right, something not making sense. There was another thing. She wanted me to prep broccoli, but they didn't have any fresh broccoli. All the broccoli they had was frozen broccoli, right? So she didn't even know what kind of broccoli they had. Then when I go to make the Asiago chicken, no salt in the whole fucking building. Like the most basic fucking ingredient. No salt. So I'm like, okay, I'll use garlic salt, and then instead of using garlic powder, minced garlic or whatever, I'll just cut down on that. I'll use garlic salt and it'll be fine, whatever. So I do this, I make the portions, and they have these little ass plates. They don't have anything bigger than that. And I fit a portion of everything on the plate. It was kind of crowded because of that. And then the other person, the exec or whoever it was, that's the other thing, I didn't know who anybody was, is complaining that the portion sizes are too. He's asking me about the portion sizes. And I'm like, it's an Asiago chicken breast and a little bit of pasta and some broccoli. And I cut down on it because the fucking plate was like this fucking big, it's tiny, itty bitty plate. What the fuck is going on? Like in my head, this is what I'm like, am I in like Bizarro land right now? Like this is the shittiest interview I've ever had in my life. The other cooks seeing it complimented, that it looked good and whatever. Plating was whatever. It was fucking Asiago chicken noodles and fucking broccoli, like whatever, and when they asked what I would have done differently, I was like, well, I was told to follow the recipe and make this recipe for you guys. You didn't say I had any creative control at all. And part of these types of interviews is they want to see things like, can you follow instructions? I would not be following instructions if I just made whatever the fuck I wanted. So I made the fucking food that they told me to make. And I was like, I would have done a ton of things differently. First off, I probably wouldn't have even made this. And honestly, I feel like it's missing a sauce of some kind. The noodles probably would have been separate and dressed in something else. I probably would have done something different with the broccoli, probably sauteed it, even though the recipe says steamed it. Like, I was just going over all this stuff. And he kind of like had his hands behind his back. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Remember, this is 4.5 hours of work, of actual like work, not like interview stage, like it was just work. And I sat down with the GM, and then they explained that the catering lead also has a hand in production. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like, you guys didn't even ask me a single question about catering. You literally came in and had me prep dinner and then make some of those dinner portions. And nobody was around, whatever. I was able to navigate the kitchen without anybody there. I was able to navigate everything, find everything, do it all with no instruction from anybody, whatever. So then send me an email. And the position they're going to offer me has nothing to do with being a catering chef at all. Not even like working as a catering cook underneath the lead, which I applied for. They wanted me to, guess what? To do dinner service for the university. They wanted me to do dinner service for the university. Had nothing to fucking do with catering. Not even a little bit. Like, this was the worst interview I've ever had in my life. I don't want it to sound like I was upset that I had to do work. It wasn't that. It was that the things that happened in the university had nothing to do with the job. They offered me less money than I asked for, and it was just the whole thing was stupid. It was one of the stupidest things ever. And I left my fucking thermometer, so they got a free $20 goddamn thermometer there as well. So, yeah. I'm never applying to, what did I say? Sarah Clark. There we go. I'm never applying to a Sarah Clark-owned kitchen again in my life. So right now I'm looking for something that is with Sodexo, because I actually really enjoyed working for Sodexo. I know sometimes it's hit and miss, but there's been a lot of really awesome people, and I've heard a lot of really awesome things. And I'm saying their name because I'm saying good things about them. But anyway, that was my shitty interview experience. I want to know about your shitty interview experience, and if you ended up taking the job or not, and anything else that you want to to add, maybe some pitfalls to watch out for, whatever, anybody that is new to the cooking industry, whatever. How do you feel about a working interview or the concept of a stage? You know, is this something that you think is like appropriate? Do you think it's good to do this? Or do you think that maybe sometimes the nerves will get the better of somebody so you don't get to really see what they can do? You know, do you like to do mystery basket stuff if you're an exec? Or have you done any mystery basket? Let me know in the comments. I want to know about all that stuff. Love it. I love hearing about it. If you are new to the industry and enjoy getting new tips, advice, and tricks and whatever, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm not the only one here that has any experience. There's actually a lot of people that end up in my comment section that have a lot of experience and a lot of good advice and things to say. I'm also on TikTok and on Threads. Otherwise, check out one of the 2 videos that should be popping up on the screen right about now. But you guys have an awesome and amazing day, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.